my name's Louise and today we're going to talk about making diary adjustments within Dawn AC. Now the Dawn AC system is set up so that clinics are created along with diary slots. So for example, you might have a clinic that's set up with one big untimed slot whereby you might, for example, see 50 patients at any point during one day from Monday to Friday. Or you might have a timed appointment clinic where you might have a diary set up so that you might have 5-minute appointments with one patient allowed for each of those appointments. Or you might have a combination of a few. So today what I want to talk about is actually making adjustments to the diary, because obviously there are times when we can't have a normal clinic running, for example the seasonal holidays, where you might want to block out a diary completely and see no patients. Or you might have instances where you know you're going to be short-staffed on a particular day. You might have a staff training day, for example, and you just want to decrease the number of slots available to you. Or there might be times when you want to increase the number of slots. So for example, maybe after a public holiday, you know you're going to be busier and you want to increase the number of patients you can see. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples to show you how this works. Now, to bear in mind, when we do make diary adjustments, they are clinic specific. So if you do have more than one clinic in your Dawn system, if you're doing something like a seasonal holiday, so completely blocking out the clinic, then you will need to do that for all the clinics in your system. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first of all go into my clinic setup so that I can make some adjustments. And to get into that section, I'm going to choose System Menu up at the top left, and I'm going to choose the Clinic table. Now you can see a list of all the clinics in my system. You might only have one or you might have several, depending on how you're set up. And for each of these clinics, we have what's called the Adjustments tab, and this is where we make our adjustments. Now I want to choose, first of all, Westside Clinic. What I can see from the slot templates is this is a timed appointment clinic. So it runs from 9 to 4, from Monday to Friday. It's 5-minute intervals. You have one patient that you can see every 5 minutes, and we also have one reserve slot, which is a bit like an overflow slot. So Dawn will never automatically book patients into reserve slots, but you can. So if you're getting busy and you need to squeeze a few more patients in, you can use the reserved capacity there. So for this timed appointment clinic, I'm going to imagine that we have a staff training morning scheduled in, and it's going to be for a couple of weeks' time. And I just want to block out part of the clinic. So it's just going to be a morning. I'm going to block out the slot and then resume it in the afternoon. So to do that, I'm going to click on the Adjustments tab. I'm going to click on this little blue form icon here to add a new adjustment. So now it's a case of filling in the details. So obviously a description. So why am I changing the diary? I'm going to call it Staff Training Morning. And then I'm going to choose the start date and end date. Now, if this is purely for one day, you just put in the same date in the start and end date. If it's going to be an adjustment that runs for more than one day, you can put a date range in here. Now, in this example, I'm just going to imagine it's just one day, and I think we'll just go for the 21st. So I'm going to hit the 21st on both days. Then this form asks me for a start time and end time. If this adjustment was going to take effect all day, you could leave the start time and end time blank, just to indicate to Dawn it's all day. If it's just a morning, like we're going to do now, we can put in a time frame. From 9 until 12, this is the adjustment time frame I want, so just from 9 until 12. Now then, what we've also got just underneath here is a little percentage sign box. Now this is saying to Dawn whether I want to give my adjustment in terms of a percentage or in terms of actual figures. Now I'll show you this in the untimed clinic example. The idea behind it, the percentage of slots you actually want for a day, so for example you could have 50% and that will give you half the slots. Alternatively you could do something like 200 and that would double your slots. This works well for an untimed clinic. In this example, I want to actually uncheck that box because I'm going to give specific figures. I'm going to give specific numbers for this adjustment. So from 9 to 12, I want to block out that morning completely. I don't want anybody in that morning. So I'm going to put zeros in my capacity adjustment, which is the number of slots available to me. and the reserved capacity adjustment, which is the number of reserve slots available. So by setting them both at 0, I'm effectively blocking out the morning of this clinic. So no one's going to be able to get seen between this time frame here. Now, because I've only specified one day in the start date and end date, all of these days that are checked are kind of matterless almost, because I've already specified it's the one day. If you wanted this to go on for more than one day, you could uncheck the boxes that you don't want this to apply for. So I'm going to OK that at the bottom, and you can see we've got our adjustment in there now, so it gives us the details of the adjustment. Just to note at this point, if you ever did add in an adjustment and it was in error, or you've changed your mind and you wanted to get rid of it, you do have the little trash can icon just to the left, so you can click on that to delete the adjustment, so you can certainly get rid of them if needs be. Now, once you've entered in an adjustment, the best thing to do now is just to check that that adjustment is looking as you intend it to be. What we can do is click on the Create Delete Diary option here. This shows us each of the diary weeks for this clinic. And if I click on the date or the week in question, which is this one, it actually shows me how the diary is looking all through that week. And Monday the 21st is the day I put in my adjustment for. So if I click on that, I can see that my adjustment is listed there at the top, so Dawn's taking that into account. And I can see on all of these various 5-minute slots I have no capacity right through until 12. So all of these are zeros. I can't put anybody in here until 12 o'clock, where it resumes as normal. So that's an example of a timed appointment change. Now I want to show you changing the diary for a non-timed appointment. So I'm just going to close out this clinic diary now. I'm just going to get rid of the system menu as well. I'm going to click on a non-timed appointment clinic. So I'm going to choose this one just above here at the top. Now, if we look at this one, this is set up a bit differently. If we look at slot templates, this one runs right through from 8 to 6 in the evening. And you can see here that the interval is 24 hours, which means that it's one big slot. So there's no times as such, it's just a patient can come in at any point on a particular day. And this runs from Monday to Friday, and it allows 20 patients to be seen every one of those weekdays. And it also has a reserved capacity in there of 10. So if we needed to squeeze another 10 in, we could do that using the reserve slots. So we're going to put in an adjustment on this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into adjustments. I can see I've already got one in there, so I'm quite organised. I'm going to click on the little blue form icon to add a new one. Let's say that for this particular adjustment, I want to decrease the number of slots. What I need to do is put in a description. We're going to have a day where I know we're going to be short-staffed. I'm going to put in the day into the start date and end date, and you can put in a date range in here. I'm just going to stick to the one day, I think. Let's go with the 21st again for ease. Now, because I want this particular adjustment to apply all day, and because it's a non-timed appointment clinic, this start time and end time aren't really relevant. So I can leave these blank, because as far as I'm concerned, this is applying to all day on the 21st. Now, this is where the percentage question mark option comes in quite useful. Can you see just underneath, it actually says give relative percentage like 50 or 125. If I thought on the 21st I'm going to be short-staffed, I want to halve the number of patients I usually see. What I could do is, if I have this little box checked, I could put in a capacity adjustment of 50% and maybe 50 in the reserved, and that would mean that my clinic adjustments would actually half the number of slots I can see. So I'd only have 10 patients per day on that particular day and half of the reserve slots as well. So I can give it in terms of percentages. I can also use this in terms of percentages to increase the number of slots. So, for example, if this was a day after a public holiday, I know it's going to be a really busy day, I want to just increase the number I can see, I could do, for example, 150%, or I could do 200% to double the number of slots if I wanted to. If the adjustment you want to put in doesn't work out quite as neatly as a percentage, then what you can do is you can uncheck that box and just give the exact figures for that day. So I want to be able to see exactly 6 patients on that day, and I don't want any reserved. I can pop 6 in here, and again it purely applies for this day. So again, because it's a one day, these boxes just can be left as is, and I'm going to OK that at the bottom. If we click on the Create Delete Diary option, let's just see how that looks for the 21st. So let's just hit that. And if I click on my 21st day, this is a more simple one. I can see I've got my one slot right through from 8 till 6. I've got the option to put 6 patients in there and no reserveds. Okay, and I can see the adjustment listed at the top here. Now again, it's worth mentioning at this point, if I come out of Clinic Diary, that these adjustments you can go in and edit as well. So if you go in to create diary, check the diary and think, oh, that's not quite what I intended it to be, you can go back into adjustments and you can click on that adjustment to edit it. So under the Westside Clinic, we have blocked out part of a day, and in the Waterside Clinic, we have reduced the capacity on a particular day. And again, we can choose to increase the capacity as well. Let's just click on the little blue form icon one more time and pop in a description. So let's see. If I put like day after holiday, we know we're going to have lots more patients to see than usual, and we're going to put in our start date and end date. So let's put in the 22nd for this one. Again, I can leave the start time and end time blank. This is an untimed appointment clinic, so you don't need to put in a time frame in here. I can either put in my figures in terms of percentages or exact figures. So let's do percentages, and let's double the clinic capacity. So by putting 200 in each, I'm actually doubling the number of slots available on that day and the number of reserve slots as well. So let's go with that, and they'll take effect immediately. If you have any questions about adjustments or making changes to the clinic diary, then please do call the support team.